Hi, Jonas, and welcome to Walk in the Park.
Thank you.
Super excited to meet you here in Mandal and during SLUSH, which is the version of a big SLUSH conference in Helsinki, brought in a small city in the south of Norway. Super cool, second time happening in Norway. And today I'm looking forward to talk to you and to learn from you. You have pretty cool, impressive journey. You worked in the cool companies, started your own company. Now you're running or like a founder of 3 companies, Fyrstikk, Easee and Starflow. Before we start working, I want to actually go to one of your recent posts on LinkedIn, where you say that the body can handle the stress now, but it won't last forever. So remember to slow down before it's too late. And you can always, every morning, take between 5 and 20 minutes time to just sit down, breathe. Don't forget about breathing. We often forget that. I experienced that myself. At the same time, discipline is important. So hard choices, easy life. And also stubbornness can be a great strength, but also the great weaknesses. And choose progress over perfection. I really loved that one. And we probably will going to touch some of these points on the way.
Sounds good.
So let's walk.
Yeah.
And the first question I usually ask is how often you have walk and talks in your life?
Maybe it's quite rare, but I love to walk and talk in the phone. So yeah, maybe more often than I think, but not like this. There is a lot of energy in me, and if I sit too much still, it's not optimal.
Can you just tell us a bit about yourself? So who are you and what do you do now?
Yeah, so I'm Jonas, and I have 2 kids. One is 2 years old, and the second one is 14. I live in Stavanger. I have a family there, a girlfriend, beautiful girlfriend. Yeah, I'm maybe an entrepreneur that loves to solve problems. Yeah, that's me, basically. I don't have many hobbies. It's kind of work and family, and that's it.
That's pretty much enough hobbies as it itself. So, but a bit more on what you do now. So Easee, Fyrstikk, Starflow, what are you focusing on now? What are you doing?
Yeah, so so Fyrstikk is more the kind of a what's it called, holding company, where we maybe will introduce other companies or founders. If
like
we
venture studio concept?
Kind of, yeah. But now it's kind of we first need to learn, become even smarter before we can train or like guide others, not train, but guide others, I think. So still have a couple of companies in me, I think, at least one more. I just feel that I have stuff that I would like to prove to myself, mostly myself, and things that I want to learn. When you do things over and over again, hopefully you get better at it. You learn, you grow, you mature. And this is basically like, I believe that the process, the way of thinking can become repetitive, but you need to understand it deep enough to be able to kind of inspire others or to teach others how to use that process.
So you basically like the process, the kind of learning, experiencing, doing things at the same time, right?
And I really hope that we can also inspire people to, solve the right problems, the necessary problems. Of course, we should have fun and we should have products that maybe not all of them need to solve the climate crisis, but I think it's really important that we try to guide ourselves and entrepreneurs, especially the newer generation, to solve needed problems. And that it's not the money that drives people, but actually that we can actually survive as a species. And especially in terms of our families and children, become good role models for them. That what you do is kind of purpose driven more than,
only money.
Basically, yeah.
So are you having those talks with your teenage daughter already or not yet?
I'm trying, but I'm trying to not, become this annoying parent that is always trying to deep talk, and but I try, and I'm just me, but I want her to make her own choices and make up her own mind, not get too much in the way.
Let's go back to 2018, the year you started Easee, right? I'm not taking it wrong. So before that, you've been working in SLUSH'D, and then what happened? What inspired you to start Easee?
Yeah, well, when I started SLUSH'D, I was pretty naive, and the vision in SLUSH'D at the time was drilling on Mars, actually, and cleaning water, and I was working in oil and gas industry at the time. And I was kind of waking up and seeing that I need to do something more with my life. I don't believe that oil and gas is the future. It is important. It has been very important for Norway, at least. And it's still important, but it's just, I wanted to do something different, something more with my life, some more impactful. So it started in SLUSH'D. It was drilling on Mars, cleaning water with the electricity, high voltage, and it was EV charging. And we were working with Renault at the time, and then at some point, me and Kjetil, which I started Easee with eventually, we saw, okay, we can build a EV charger for homes. It turned out to be multi-dwelling units, because that's where the main problems was at the time, to scale charging systems in multi-dwelling units. So we ended up doing that, learned a lot of stuff, had a lot of titles and roles, and we're just trying to make it, basically. So it was like 3.5 years of just full throttle, almost going bankrupt every single day. It was hell. But
you actually made it.
We made it.
You both made it, the device, but also you created a company. Actually, now you've been called for one of these unicorn fabrics, so how you call it, where people now start something on their own. Right now, they kind of have this brand on their CVs. Yeah, they've been there on the journey. We can follow up more on some of those things, but tell us about your background.
Yeah, so I've been born and raised in production, so electronics production.
Yeah.
And so I know the production processes quite well, and also service electronics, and I did industrialization, prototyping. So yeah, I've done a lot of soldering, and maybe it was I was probably not the best at it, but when you do it a lot of times, you get good at what you do. So it was really fun working with developers and new projects all the time, trying to manage the bill of material and all the parts, getting them in on time, producing them, putting them together, providing valuable input and feedback for the developers.
So how was then when you and Kjetil decided to start that, and you were like doing first steps and structuring the company, and then you took the CEO role? How was that for you?
Yeah, it's a good question, because at one part of me didn't want it, because it's a lot of responsibility, and I didn't know what it meant to be a CEO. So, but it made more sense that I took that role than Kjetil, because he's like more visionary and more. I was following him. I was just trying to build his dreams in a way, and to realize the things that he at that point saw. He's a genius in his stuff. One of the best people on this planet in what he does. So for me, it was just okay. I can take that role. Try to manage people and try to make the best out of it. Try to gather stuff and make things happen, because I think I'm quite strong when it comes to execution and trying to, understand stuff like the market and the technology, and how can we make the most out of it. Because you can have great ideas, you can have visionary ideas, but execution and also making money is a good thing. It's funny because not everybody understands the importance of that you need to, if you want to make a great product, you need to try to define the problems you're solving and try to quantify them, and then try to plan a little bit of how you're going to solve these problems and what you're going to build, and then start building it. A lot of people, and there's no right or wrong here, but a lot of people, they quit a little bit too quickly. They go into just doing stuff, and then they learn the hard way that, okay, nobody wants to pay for this. They have spent a lot of time and money on a product, for example, that nobody wants to have it. And sometimes you pivot and you manage it and find solutions anyway. But a lot of companies go bankrupt because of this, because they haven't done enough planning and talked to enough customers and understood the market and the importance of timing. Mm-hmm. It's so important. You can have a genius idea, a really good product, but if you're too early or too late, it doesn't matter.
How was that for you when you were starting? You were really doing like those preparation jobs, and what the first steps you've done? How you were doing that? Talking to customers, looking at the market, timing.
Yes, we started off just trying to get our thoughts on paper and kind of try to kind of have some sort of idea of what to do and where to start. And then we started quite early talking to customers, trying to understand their pains and their problems and how we could solve those and create value. This is the same things that we're doing now in Starflow as well. It's like at first we didn't actually know where to start, and then we started we talked to people. We started realizing that, okay, there might be a need for a better solution here, and then we have spent quite a lot of time now just trying to map out the problems in the value chain, quantify those, see where should we put our focus, and in parallel we are building stuff as well, testing the things that we can test, for example the power electronics, and then hopefully it will end up as a product at some point in time. But yeah.
Cool. Looking forward to see how it goes, and I'm sure it will be a great and interesting journey as well. So going next step with Easee again. So you started to test, looking at the market potential, timing, talking to customers, and then it's starting to become a real thing, real company, and growing. And one of the values you brought into the company and also communicated it publicly, which I love and support very much, was love. So tell us about that. How did you actually, why love?
It was kind of like eventually when we started scaling, I realized that we haven't defined our values, and we haven't defined, clearly who we are and so on. And that's quite important because it defines who you bring in to the team. And if they don't believe in your values and in the direction of the company, the mission and so on, they shouldn't be there. So it was kind of just something that we try to put words on, who we are and what we believe in. And for me, it's quite important to not just build great products, but I believe that people build great products, and great people build great cultures. And if you have those two and some sort of strategy and direction as well, which is necessary, you will succeed, and you will do not just do well, but extremely well. But it's not just something that you can put on paper and then forget about it. You kind of need to repeat it, nurture it, try to make people understand that this is actually something that you expect people to practice. Like love, defining love can be quite challenging because a lot of people, they think that love is about romantic and these kind of things. Why are you bringing love into business? For me, love is everything. It's what brings us humans together and actually ensures our survival in a way. So just trying to create a culture where you're allowed to be human. That it's about performing, and about performance. You need to, when you're in a business, you need to create value, and you need to make money. That's just how it is. But that you can actually take people and the whole person as a part of your team, and maybe calling it a family might be a little bit too much for some people. But I just believe that, let's say that somebody's having a bad day, and you actually care about them, and you sit down with them, you spend time with them. I think in the long run, you might lose 1 or 2 hours, but I think in the long term, you really create something that people want to be a part of, and it's something more than a company for them. It's more than a job. And I've seen this with my own eyes, what we did in Easee, how that impacted a lot of people's lives and their families' lives, because they improved as individuals. They saw that, it's actually possible to combine feelings and empathy in a business setting and create crazy results. It's fully possible.
So what do you think? What about those colder cultures?
I think, and will always think, that love is the answer. These colder cultures, I think this is one of the things that is driving this world towards something that we probably don't want to take fully in. It might actually lead to extinction, because these cold cultures, they're about every man and woman for him and herself. And that's not how us humans have survived as a species. It's because we have had tribes, we have been fully dependent on each other, and we still are, to meet our needs, our human needs. But because of what have happened during the last maybe 100 years, maybe more, industrialization, productivity, everybody should be so fucking productive and produce and produce and produce. You should be a full-time mother and still have a full-time job and like being a lawyer and being very successful and making a lot of money while still trying to take care of your kids. It's like, how is that possible? It's not possible. And it's actually impacting our kids much more than we think. And this goes in generations, Mm-hmm. It's not like we created this world, more or less, but we are now a part of it, like our generation. It was the generations before us that also had their things, and it was just so important, more and more important to not just survive, but you needed more fancy homes, more fancy cars. For what end? What are we trying to achieve here? We are destroying our planet by just buying more and more stuff. I'm not judging anyone, because but I think it's important that we dare to talk about it.
I agree.
And if we have this mindset in businesses that this is the right way of doing things, being very cynical and being very selfish, we are role models for our kids. So then they look at us and see, okay, that's how it is. I just need to think about myself and my own well-being and not care about the other people. Not good at all.
That was a great reflection, and you're a great role model. Your kids are lucky. I was wondering, even though I'm really supporting and on the same page with the laugh as a part of a culture, were you meeting any people inside your team who were not understanding it in the beginning? Was it challenging?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. And especially, as a man talking about feelings and emotions, and believe me, I'm coming from an upbringing that emotions were a no-go, So, and maybe it's because of that, actually, that this toughness, this hardness. My grandmother, for example, she raised 6 kids by herself, because my grandfather was killed in a very small place here in Norway. And my grandfather on my father's side, he was carrying cement and rocks and so on, sand up a steep hill, and he made 20 øre per kilo, and that was what they were doing. He was eventually polishing steel at the steel plant in Jørpeland. And that's kind of that mentality, that toughness. It does something to you. They never got to be kids. They never got to experience life how it should be. And this has impacted my mother and my father, which again has impacted me. And this is where I kind of, okay, it stops here. I'm doing something about this. And it's quite difficult to change these patterns that have been brought in generations in your family line, and just suddenly saying stop. I want to be different. I want to do things in a different way, more healthy way. It's so difficult, and I'm far from. I feel that I've just reached the kindergarten stage, and that I'm still learning, and I'm learning so much from my 2-year-old and from my daughter as well. They have made me a better man and father and everything.
So a life of a founder and a company leader is about taking so many decisions every day and finding the focus. How do you do that? Do you have any techniques or rituals on tips and tricks?
Yeah, actually, one of the things is my morning routine, and also that I try to give myself more time in between meetings, for example, and not stack too many meetings in one day. But trying to calm down a little bit, slow down, like call it meditation or whatever, just sitting still and thinking, becoming aware of what you think about, and most importantly, like not rushing into things, because you can become quite impulsive and reactive, but it's so important that we dare to sleep on things and just, okay, I'm not going to send this email now because I'm emotional. I'm not going to make this decision now because I don't feel it in my entire body that this feels like the right decision. So basically time, and a lot of cases, and it is like this for me at least, that you don't feel like you have the time. You feel that you need to make this decision now or tomorrow, but my experience now and more is that there are rarely cases where you need to make this decision now. It sometimes, yes, but those cases are rare. So just, and I know that some people might be annoyed by that. I would probably too if I heard it, because no, it's not that easy. We need to do this, we need to do that, and so on and so on. It's like, yeah, but my experience is do less. It's so important to focus and take a step back and look at what are you doing and why. Why is this important now? Why have you said yes to this meeting? Should you be in this meeting? Maybe you should be elsewhere because you have more important things to focus on. But I know it's really hard. And I'm far from, I'm probably a yellow belt now.
So any more rituals on how you take care of yourself from your learnings and experiences? You've been on a really ups and downs journey. That's not a secret to anyone. How do you do that?
Well, I think, so at some point I had coaches and so on since I was 23. So I have but getting to the point where in the end of 2023, I was so worn out, and I had such a low self-esteem, and I was so I felt that I was going to die actually, because there was so much pain in my body. I pushed myself too hard, so it was kind of getting help actually, having someone to talk to. I got this coach / psychologist that another founder actually recommended me to talk to. And in the beginning it was like what to expect, a little bit scary, but he really has helped me to put myself back together make sense out of things. And then I've also done a lot of things myself. Found people that I can learn from on YouTube and so on. But you actually have to prioritize it. You have to be willing. Like, I was so obsessed with distracting myself and just proving to people that I was good enough. And now slowly I have realized that I am good enough and I don't need to prove myself to anyone. And that's a really, really good place to be. Being where I was, it could probably look good on the outside, but on the inside I was feeling like shit, and it was hell. I have not understood what life is about until now, and that it's actually meant to be fun, and just feeling more and more, appreciation and love for people, because even though a part of me was, I really love people, really loved what I was doing, but there was another part of me that was very stressed and anxious, and I hated social settings, and I can still struggle with them. But it's just, I now I have the tools, and I take the time to kind of listen to myself and try to put words on my emotions, which I understand for many, especially men, can be very scary to even listen to,
What's the big mission for Starflow?
So we want to build a new energy system for homes. That's at least where we're starting, and we are building this energy hub where we can combine solar and batteries and try to bring down the cost. So our goal is to make it at least 50% lower cost, and also smarter and simpler. Like, if people don't know where to start, we want to kind of make a more standardized solution, and also try to up the game on design a little bit, so that people are kind of proud to install solar and batteries in their home and become more sustainable, become more independent as well, lower their energy bill, and so on and so on.
Great mission and a smart way of doing it, with design including. But another thing I noticed is that talking about company DNA and culture now with Starflow, I've been following since you started to kind of put it publicly, that you working already now from first days. You have 3 guys started it, right? And you started already working on DNAs, what kind of people you want to have, what is important. And it was really beautiful and easy to understand, but also showing really the values. So these are probably one of the learnings you got from Easee as well, because you mentioned you started to work on culture a bit later.
Yeah.
So tell us about why is it important to do it from day zero?
I think it's really important to be aware of, the direction, where you're going, why you're doing it, what you're building, who you are, like defining your values and what people you want to have in your company, what kind of values should they have, and also the investors, because it kind of becomes like a product specification. It's like a specification for your company, what company you would like to build, what people do you want to bring in, what culture do you want to have here, and having at least something on paper. It doesn't need to be a lot, but just doing that exercise instead of doing like most people. They're just, and how I have done it, just running. It can, of course, work, but I think just doing this exercise, because it's about alignment, and just being aligned with 3 people is really hard. 2 is hard. 3 is really hard, and then when you grow 10, 50, 100, 500 people, it doesn't necessarily always get harder and harder and harder. In one way it does, but if you have done the groundwork and you keep repeating, the values and the principles and so on, eventually it will just start to become like this normal part of how we do things. You don't even need to say it,
I was wondering about what do you think about risk and like if people will be taking more risks, but also having good values, more love, more thinking about like happiness, what will happen to the society? What impact will it bring to the society?
things will become more healthy. And I think that if people, because it's been a process for me and it still is, but if people would realize what life is about and how great it can be to be surrounded with like-minded people that is in touch with their hearts, I think they will understand that there's nothing else that makes sense, and that love is all around, and it's not limited in a way. It's like we have been raised to think that love and so on is limited. It's not. It's endless. So yeah.
True. What do you love the most about entrepreneurship?
I think maybe it's the challenge and the growth, like learning new stuff, pushing things to the limit without breaking it, hopefully. But just seeing what I'm made of and to prove to the world that humans are amazing. Yeah.
Were you dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur when you were small?
No, not at all, actually. I was planning to go into the army and because I wanted to lead people. And suddenly it became clearer and clearer for me that I really just wanted to, like, if I wanted to do leadership in my way and build my kind of company and culture, I saw that I needed to do it myself. That's basically, that's why I ended up as an entrepreneur, actually. Yeah.
Cool story. What do you think you would do differently if you could go back to tough moments in Easee?
I think maybe just remind myself that it doesn't last forever. No matter if you fuck up or you're afraid to fuck up, it doesn't define you as a person. We need to separate what we do and who we are. And these things were too interlinked with me. So I kind of thought that if I did some mistakes, I was a bad person. And I think many people do that. They link what they do to who they are, and they let that run their lives. Mm. So at least that's what I'm trying to do now, to kind of detach those things. So what I do is what I do, and who I am is who I am. That I can be a good person even though I fail, and even though I say something that might end up being wrong. It's fine. Mm. I think nobody's expecting anyone to be perfect. But for some reason, a lot of us go around thinking that we have to be perfect. And it puts this weight on our shoulders and stress that ends up making us sick.
What advice would you give to your daughter if she tells you, I want to become an entrepreneur and start a company?
I think that a lot of people, they need to really think about why they're doing it, and that being an entrepreneur is 99% pain and 1% gain. You have to love the process and be a little bit crazy, I think, because it's not easy. You have so many things, so much pressure on your back, and of course it helps having great people around you and a great team. But still, there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of pressure. So I would probably support her, and I would try to just be there for her if she needed some guidance or help or whatever. But most importantly, it's just making sure that she does it for the right reasons. Not that I want to get external validation because I'm not good enough as I am. That's really good. Yeah.
Great reflections and great advice. And I'm really looking forward to both follow you and Starflow on the journey, but also looking forward to meet more companies with great values who can really change the world and make it a better place. And thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.